without further ado, let's start laying down some paint. It's called Rattle Can, not Rattle Can't. This is Raffle Board 5. Good evening everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, it's a bit of a workhorse week. Burning the midnight oil, getting ready for the wedding. It's taking up a lot of my free time, but we're nearly there. But as you can see behind me, something weird's going on. I've got the big stuff at the garage all covered up, and that's because tonight we're spray painting. We're getting started on the next raffle board. I finally have my paint, I finally have my board, and graphics are on the way. They should be arriving in the next couple of days. But without further ado, we're going to get started. So here I have just a blank board, and why a blank board? Why an actual skateboard? That's really easy, because a proper skateboard's finished in a resin. It's very thin, but it acts kind of like a primer. I'm still going to put a prime coat on this job, but the clear coat that comes on the boards acts as a really good primer. So I only need to give it a light sand because it's already super fine finish. So I'm going to give it a quick buff, quick tidy up with a sanding block, and then a finer sanding block, and then I'm going to hang her up and get a prime coat tonight. And that's as far as I'm going to take it, because I'm going to let that cure, and then I'm going to start laying base colors. You guys are thinking, yeah, why use a proper blank board? There's so many cheaper options out there. And that's purely for the lacquer coating that they get in their final production. Paint adheres great to it, like it really does. And it just makes prepping so much easier. So while I had the GoPro on charge just now, I just hit it with the heavier grit sanding block, and now I'm hitting it with the lighter one, and it's going to turn what's normally an hour-long job into something that's only 15 minutes, because, you know, it's so fine a finish that you don't really have to do the same amount of excessive prep work that you'd normally do. Anyone who actually has some painting knowledge around here knows that prep work is probably 80% of the painting job. The better you prep, the better your paint's going to be. So me being a less experienced painter, I really have only ever done it for fun. I'll take any advantage I can get my hands on as far as making my life that little bit easier when it comes to laying paint down. So yeah, that's why I use a proper blank skateboard. And you can get these from most skate shops. They're usually anywhere between 50 and 70 bucks, pretty cheap. Whereas I have used one of the, like, we call it Spotlight here, but it's like an arts and crafts store blank board, but it's raw wood, it's unfinished, whereas this is finished. So really all I'm doing is adding a light rough coat to the finish, so that way I can prep it with something that's going to be better for holding paint down. So yeah, if you didn't know that much about painting, now you do. Alright, so she's all sanded down, she's ready to rock and roll. So now we're going to start laying our prime coat. I'm sort of doubling down on like this. You could probably get away, because of that lacquer finish on the board, you could probably get away with not prime coating it, but I like to be better safe than sorry, because I've had headaches painting before where I haven't primed it or prepped it as good as I could have, and it always bites you in the bum. So definitely spend more energy on prep work than actual painting for sure. So without further ado, let's start laying down some paint. Yeah, you just want nice, even blends. This is probably going to be a pretty thick starting coat. Hopefully I can get this without any drips. I'm usually pretty alright with the old rattle can, but you know, mistakes do happen. My paint jobs on these boards, I like to go all the way around for that really cool, proper, what's called a dripped board finish. In the skate world, they call them dipped because they've been completely dipped in paint rather than just printed on. Yeah, I just want to do something that looks really quality, not real budget. So I try to do the best job I can. And I can already hear all the pro painters watching this, because I know there's heaps of pro painters out there that are not actual painters. I've met a heap of them and they do some incredible work. Going, ew, why are you using rattle cans? Ew. Well, that's because I live in a rental and spray booths, or at least ones that I would be happy with, are pretty large, and there's a lot more overspray. Like I can already feel dust and paint particles and stuff around my feet now, and that's why I've got all this place covered. And you can probably see it in the camera, it's a little hazy in here. Yeah, when you use actual spray guns and stuff like that, it's much worse, and that's why they wear big suits and have the big masks and do all those things and cover themselves up. Me, I'm just shirt and rattle cannon, because it's called rattle can, not rattle can't. So we're all prepped up now. It's looking pretty good. I'm gonna let this coat cure overnight, and hopefully tomorrow I've laid a thick enough prep job that I can start laying my base coat down. So it's going to be like a few seconds for you guys, but we'll transition to the next day. So good night, see you tomorrow.
The next day.
Evening everyone, next day. So today we're laying the first layer of base coat, which is just a straight gloss black. So I'm going to get ripping into that tonight and maybe lay 2 or 3 more coats, because this is a fast drying black. Just get a nice thick black base coat, because I'm going to throw an additional color layer on top of this. So yeah, without further ado, let's get ripping. To avoid drips, build up areas, and all other sorts of nasty stuff. Not too worried about any major drips and runs at the moment, because I'm probably going to do like 4 or 5 coats of this, lay it nice and thick, so that way I can sand it back before I lay my next color down and try and get it as smooth as I possibly can. And yes, all you pro painters out there are probably watching me do this and cringing a little, but again, I don't have the space or the ability right now to use the proper tools needed as you would with a spray booth. So I'm making it work. Slightly thicker areas, but again, that's not too bad. I'm pretty happy with that so far. A few areas that I could probably sand back later after I've done a few coats to make it tidy. But overall, she's looking pretty good. She looks nice and black. So yeah, I'm gonna let that sit and dry and see how she goes in a few minutes. Right, it's a little bit later. Coat 1 is ready for recoat, because you can do this every 10 minutes with this particular black. And now I'm going to rock and roll with coat 2. Alright, now I'm going to let that sit for a little bit longer and come back for a third coat. From there, I'm going to let it cure overnight and into the next day, and tomorrow night I will potentially sand any lumpy areas or any areas that I think might be a little bit raised, and then maybe do a quick touch-up coat and then let that cure overnight before then doing my next color and masking for that next color. So hang tight, I'll be right back and we'll do coat number 3. Alright, so now it's coat number 3. I just had a quick scan over the whole paint job and it's looking pretty consistent. I'm pretty happy with that. No major build-up areas, so now I'm just tripling down on everything. And I'll come back and check it again, make sure there's no build-up areas after this coat, and then I'll let it cure overnight. So here we go, coat number 3. Alrighty, I just checked my job with a light and I'm pretty happy with the results. So now I'm just gonna let it cure overnight and come back to it tomorrow when the paint's nice and settled, and then I'll start working on potentially the next color. I will check it though for any lumpy bits once it is dry, as I may need to sand it back a little, tidy up a few areas and recoat it. Hopefully not, it's looking pretty good. And yeah, on the next steps. So you'll probably see this fast forwarded to tomorrow night as of now.
The next day.
Another day has come and gone, and we're back in the makeshift spray booth. So I've taken my board off the rack. As you can see, it's now a nice gloss black. I'm not too worried about the places that haven't blended as nicely, because I'm going to throw another color over the top of this and it's going to hide it very, very well, because it's going to have a crazy sort of pattern to it, which you guys will all see later. So what I'm going to do now is take some really simple pieces of paper. This is a trick I've seen on social media, and I thought it worked really, really well. So I'm going to give it a shot for myself and see how I go, because the end goal for this is to replicate a board from, I believe, the late 70s, early 80s, and give it a really famous look. So plug in, I'm gonna get started on laying these out and masking it up, and then I'll get it back on the rack for the last color layout. Oh man, this is gonna take a long freaking time. This is gonna take a long freaking time to set up. Really long time to set up. But hopefully the results speak for themselves, because that would be sick. Because I want this to look sick. Because I want this to be the coolest one I've done. Because even though I was super happy with the last one I did, I still felt like I could have done a better job. And I probably could have, if I had more time. And this time I haven't had any setbacks, everything seems to be working. So I don't feel like I can't hit a home run this time around, which would be super duper awesome. Alright, that was an annoying job. 12 hours later, not really, more like an hour later. Well, at least what feels like an hour. I've got it all masked up, both sides, ready to go for second coat. So now I'll get it back on the rack, hang it back up, and get ready for the next color spray. So we are back on the rack and ready to get rattle can again. So without further ado, let's work on this last bit of color. Ooh. Better make sure I don't get any overspray on any of our things, because then Chris will be mad. Alright. That was coat of color 1. And unfortunately for you guys, that's where I'm gonna end it. I'm not gonna tease any more of this raffle board on this channel until it's ready for release, because it just is starting to look way too cool. So thanks again for tuning in. If you want to have any guesses of the style of board that I am trying to replicate, drop it in the comments below. That'd be super cool if someone gets it.
Several days later.
I was kidding, guys, by the way. A few days later, it's all done. The prints arrived. I laid down the clear. She was all sanded back. She's smooth as silk. Has to be one of the best raffle boards I have ever made. So without further ado, here she is. Unfortunately, the camera is not really doing this board justice at the moment because there's no direct sunlight, but it's actually a metallic flaky blue with black, super Palo Peralta inspired style ripper artwork. It's about as OG skate artwork as you get. I'm super proud of it, and it is truly beautiful to behold. So without further ado, This is Raffle board 5 and the raffle is open right now. So there will be a link in the description of this video if you want to enter to get in to win that board. It is $30 a ticket. There's only 40 spots, so you need to be quick. These things usually go pretty fast. Pretty much all of the ones I've done have gone in just a few days. So don't sit in your hands. Don't wait for it to be too late. Jump on to the link in the description right now and get your entries in if you want to be in it to win it. Thank you so much for tuning in again. This is the type of effort that goes into these types of boards, and that's not even the time me doing the artwork. The artwork itself is about 12 hours of effort. 12 hours of tracing, doing the finer details, making sure everything's proportionately correct, making sure that the person that I've chosen to do their bike or their car or whatever is happy with it, because I don't want to put anything out that the rider or the owner isn't stoked on themselves. So yeah, tell your friends, tell your family. It is capped at 10 entries per person. So again, 10 entries per person, $30 per entry for only 40 spots. So again, don't wait for it to be too late. Jump on it right now from the link in the description. And as always,
be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out.
thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one.